Okay, we have arrived at session 11, and the topic of session 11 is always one that my students roll their eyes at when I teach face-to-face classes. Teamwork. We have to do a group thing. Oh, think about all the times that you have been placed in a group in an educational setting, and how did it work out for you? All right, if you're sitting here going, oh, it always works out great, you're probably not a team player. There are people that probably had to pick up the pieces that you dropped. If you're sitting here going, I despise group work and having to work in teams in an educational setting, that's because you're probably the go-getter, the one that wants to make sure that all the work is done at high quality and early. And then there's probably a few of you that just lie in between and say, I'd just rather not. So, like it or not, in the world, whether you're a student or whether you're an employee, you will be on teams, multiple teams. You are always going to be grouped with people that are working together, involved in the same cooperative effort or goal. And the best thing to keep in mind here is you cannot avoid working in groups or teams. It's just part of life. So we have to figure out how we can be good team members. So you are going to read chapter 7 this week. You are going to complete reading notes as you read chapter 7. So you remember, you click on the reading notes, you click make a copy, and it pops right into your Google Drive. All right, so the teamwork notes are going to be just like all your other reading notes. You're going to paste a You are going to paste a photo of yourself in that upper left-hand corner, and then you are going to get busy with your note taking. Remember, you are only typing on the right-hand side where I've sort of set up for you that your notes belong there in a different colored font. So, as you are reading, paying attention to the items that I have listed for you on the left, that is what you need to hone in on when you are reading so you can define and discuss those terms. I do want to point out for you there are several aspects of the reading notes where I say list and elaborate. All right, so you'll see 5 skills to develop. Make sure you're not only listing those 5 skills, but explaining those 5 skills as well. All right, same thing with the 10 proven strategies for building high performance teams. You may find yourself in the future having to create teams in your job fields. You may end up being a supervisor that has to hire people to join your team, or you may be grouping people together to work on particular goals or efforts within your company. You need to know about how to build a team that is going to perform highly for you. And we always have to talk about those obstacles that we face. So what are those obstacles? So you're not only going to list them, but you're going to define them, elaborate on them. And then we start talking about conflict and conflict management. The book goes through the 3 C's of conflict management and the 10 principles of conflict management. I hope that some of that is a review for you. Hopefully at some point in your schooling, someone has taught you about conflict management. That's always a nice thing to have, especially when we are working with others. And then your summary questions exist down there at the bottom. So when you are going through this particular chapter and doing these reading notes, I hope that you can see that there is benefit into learning about how to work as a team. If you can get into a job field where you are able to show your supervisor that you're a good team player, or that you can lead teams, or that you can work with all sorts of people, you become an invaluable asset to your company. So keep that in mind. The last thing that you will do for session 11 is the teamwork journal. Excuse me. All right, so you're going to watch a short video clip on teamwork from the movie Here Comes the Boom. Now, you are probably too young to know what that movie is, but you don't have to have any understanding of the movie to watch the movie clip, okay? This is a teacher talking to his students about teamwork, but he's talking to them through a biology lesson. So you will be able to understand the concept without seeing the entire movie. Remember that formatting is part of your grade, and so we will copy in between the dotted lines, click the Start or Edit My Journal Entry button, and then paste that information in the journal entry box. You are writing in a paragraph. You are writing college level style writing, filling up paragraphs with thoughts, ideas, examples, reflections, and then changing your writing into a different colored font. So the first question is just asking you to sort of list out the teams and the groups that you belong to. Even if you're not working, even if you're just a college student, you still belong to lots of different groups. And then thinking about those the places that you go every day. So your school, your work, places in your neighborhood, your community. What types of diversity do you see on those teams or on those groups? Okay. You are going to be able to do this pretty easily if you are a current student, because you can look at teachers in your educational institution. Discuss the types of diversity of the members of those groups. All right, so teachers in your school setting could be an example here, and you could discuss the types of diversity that you see there. Same thing within your community. Okay, you go to a place of business. The people that are on that team or working in that area, what does their diversity look like? So that's kind of a multifaceted question there. So you could break that up if you wanted to and address the list of all the teams and groups that you belong to, and then come down and then discuss the diversity that you see in your school, in your place of work, in your community. Number 2 is going to ask you to go back to that video that you're watching and reflect on the message that the teacher is trying to convey to the students in his classroom. So how can you explain the importance of teamwork to a group of diverse people who are struggling to work together? And guess what, guys? If you ever have a job, or if you ever get a job, there is going to be diverse people. Even if they look exactly the same, they are going to be different from one another, and they're going to struggle. They're going to struggle to work together. And so go ahead and think about what the teacher is trying to teach in his lesson to his students, and then how can you grow from that? So how can you explain to other people that are having issues with working in groups? All right, and then finally, the third question is, how do you deal with situations that require teamwork in challenging settings? All right, so think back to a time that you've had to work as a group and it was challenging. Do you look for solutions, or do you just continue on with the divisiveness and kind of poke the bear? And after working on the topic of teamwork within this chapter, within this session, do you feel like your actions might change in the future? Like, so what have you learned? What have you grown from this week that you feel like you could apply to future settings where you're having to work together as a team and it being a challenge? So, goodness gracious, you have a lot to unpack there in that journal, so you should not have a problem getting together some college level paragraphs. Remember, you need a college level paragraph for number 1, number 2, and number 3. And once you are done with that journal, you have wrapped up and finished the session on teamwork. If you need me, I'm only an email away. If not, make sure you are working well ahead of the deadline so you don't get caught up and miss an opportunity to turn in work.